What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to talk about sim racing. I also started this recently, and if you want to get into sim racing, I think I can give some pointers in this video. And if you're a pro in sim racing, this video is not for you, I'm sorry. So this was my first proper race, and it took me like several attempts to get here. When I say several, to be like 10s 20s of races with crashes and whatnot. So I thought of sharing small details that help me to get better on this. So let's start the race and discuss the details. Alright, some of you already know that I'm playing Assetto Corsa Competizione, and if you are familiar with racing games like F1 or Grid or any other games, most of the games allows you to undo your mistakes. So with that, my first advice is to forget that. There are no way you can recover if you do a mistake in these games. If you lead the race and you crashed on the last lap, that's it. I'll put a video of exact same thing happening to me, so don't take chances or unnecessary risks. So that's my very first point as we have started the race here. I started SP16 and gained a couple of places, and now I want to overtake this Audi. And I see a gap, but look closely, that Audi is coming back to the racing line, so I back off because if that car hits you, you're gonna get damaged or you're gonna spin for sure. So my point 2 is always think about the risk before positioning your car for an overtake. Late braking always works, but keep that in your mind that you should be like 500% sure that you could stop your car in the given distance. So 5 positions gained so far, so not bad I would say. Let's look at a good example of late braking, and I'm going to take this Ferrari in the next hairpin, and I'm slipstreaming right now, and I break the slipstream and I wait for him to brake, and then I'm applying my brakes to get the overtake done. So basically that's how you do late braking. On to the next point folks. When you are going into a corner, always try to hit the curbs, because if you don't do it right, the curbs will unsettle your car. When you have enough experience with that, it will naturally come to you. So at first try to take the curbs, but not so much, but when you get some experience, you'll know what to do, which angle to hit the curb, and it will definitely make you faster. Talking about unsettling, that Audi took too much curb and now the car will be slow. That gives me the opportunity to overtake the car, but when you're fighting with 3 cars, be extra cautious, because that Bentley applied brakes. All of a sudden I almost hit him. If I hit him, that's it, that's the end of my race, because if you have damage, that's it, your car will be slow and you can't fight. Up to P7 now, and I feel like I can win this, but the Bentley is coming at me, slowing down, not going to compromise Bentley's line, and I let him overtake me. That decision brings me to my next pointer. You overtake cars and you get overtaken. This is not Need for Speed. Do not panic when you get overtaken by another car. Some cars are fast in corners and some cars are fast in straights. That's how it is. So stay calm and stick to your normal driving style, and you can take that car back, there's no doubt. Just believe in your pace and drive normally. As you can see here, I have already overtaken this car, no big deal. Actually I just did. On to the next car. P7 again, and that car is pretty far away. Since it's pretty far away and I had to catch him, I had to go like 2 solo laps. I'll just jump straight to lap 3. Was planning to take the Ferrari in the hairpin, but I was too far back to pull that off. But now I'm gaining on the Ferrari. But look closely, the Ferrari is not giving up. Usually Ferraris are fast in the straight lines and in the corners, and we were racing wheel to wheel. So in such moments, do not concentrate on the other car. If you think too much on the other car, you'll lose focus on your car, and then you know what happens. All you have to do is make sure that you don't turn into him, because usually this is where I got panicked, and with experience you'll get better. So concentrate on your car and your racing line, and that's all you need. On to the lap 4, and in the previous lap I've managed to put the fastest lap of the race. That means if I continue to do this, there is a chance of winning this race. That brings me up to my next pointer. Before you race, you have to do some practice sessions, sometimes 2 to 3 practice sessions, then qualifying 1, qualifying 2, and then the race. Also in the race there's race 1 and race 2. If you are new to the game and if you are also new to the tracks, do not skip these sessions. Always take the best out of all your practice sessions. You might ask why, because you might say that I know this track from the F1 game, so I don't need any practice here. But what I'm saying is you must, because in here the braking points are different, the car is different, the setup is different, so there are so many variables. So the main point I'm saying this is like, let's say that you know the track 100%, but by investing your time to practice, you will find sections or sectors of the track that you are really strong, and also there will be sectors that sometimes are a little tricky for you. When you find those sectors, you can mount all your overtakes in the areas that you are really strong, and in the weak areas you just have to make sure that you don't spin. That's it. Another personal best and on to P5. So in this track the sector 1 is really hard for me because it has high speed corners, and if you push the car a little too much you'll spin. So I brake early in sector 1 and make sure that I don't lose the car, and in sector 2 and 3 I just fly. So let's go to the pit lane. When you're going to the pits, make sure that you don't overspeed. Always switch on the limiter at the right time, else you will have to suffer with penalties. For this you need a lot of practice. If you don't slow down your car in time, as I said before, you'll get a drive-through penalty. Until you get used to the exact right point to switch on the limiter, do it a little early. You might lose a couple of seconds, but that's not a big deal. But if you couldn't do it on time or couldn't do it on the right spot, you'll get a drive-through penalty. That means your race is done. So once you come to your stop in the car, make sure you stop at the right place and do not take the pit limiter off, because I've learned this lesson the hard way. Once you are done with the pit stop, you tend to accelerate because you have been stationary for like 30 odd seconds, and if the limit is off again, you immediately get the drive-through penalty, and once that happens, that race is done. There's no point even being in the race. So this is really important as racing, so make sure that you don't forget this.
Mandatory stop is not clear. Come on, let's go. Consider it in the pit lane.
So the pit limit is off and we are back in the track. And my next point is, soon after you do the tire changes, the new tires are cold. It doesn't have the same grip that you used to have. So don't push the car just yet for 1 to 2 laps. Drive it carefully until the tire indicators go all green, and if you don't do that, the car will not stop on your usual brake points. And as you can see here, I'm struggling a lot to keep the car on the track, and at this point I felt like the tires are okay, but soon after I hit my regular braking points the car doesn't slow down. So I had to go across the curbs, and when you go across curbs, let the car settle first until you turn it, because if you turn it before the car gets settled, you will definitely gonna spin. So the most important thing here is when you slow down and cut a corner, you will not get any penalty, as it's just a lockup and you didn't gain any time by cutting the corner. But if you don't slow down and cut a corner, there will be 3 warnings and the 4th will be a penalty. So make sure that you don't do any heroics before the tires gets warm, and once the tires gets to the usual temperature, you can brake on your normal brake points, and the car will actually, with the new tires, the car will be faster. So when the pit window is open, be mindful that the cars are coming out from the pit, because now your tires are hot and their tires are cold, so don't try to match their pace. Just clear them or overtake them as soon as possible. So back to peak 7. Got a lot of work to do. So let's move on to the lap 13, and as you can see I have nailed this lap with the minus 1.7 ahead of my best time in this track, and I have done the fastest lap of the race and another purple as it should be. So now my focus is to like hunt down main cars before they get too far, and I have my eyes on this Audi, but it's a pretty fast car, so I'm planning to stay with the car and wait till the wait till I get to the straight and overtake it. So hopefully I can do that. So I'm still with the R8 and I have a feeling that I can take this car before this lap ends, but after that maybe I can take another 3 cars and become 4th. That would be awesome. But 4th place is like 8 seconds in front of me at the moment, and I only have 15 minutes left in this race, so if I'm gonna catch that, I have to lap at least half a second quicker to all these cars with no mistakes. That's the most important thing, and that's a huge pressure that I'm putting on myself, but I think that's doable. P4 would be rewarding spot because I started this from the last spot, and P4 is like almost a podium, so for me it's like almost a win because this is like my first proper race, and I moved the video to lap 16 because there were 2 lonely laps to catch the car in front of me, and in those 2 laps my pace was pretty good, and by this time I was sure that I can take P4 and maybe P3, and it's a long shot, but I'll do anything to get podium in this race because you know where I started this race. With that, we'll move on to my last point, and these are very long races, and if you're familiar with the F1 game or any other game, I'm sure that you'll have experience with longer races. But if you have played a game like Grid, the races are very competitive and good, but the races ends very quickly, so you have to be patient in these races, because if you take actual GT3 race, you know how long it takes. If you play like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 races, you'll get used to it. And how do I spend the time without doing any mistakes for like 40 odd minutes and concentrate on in the race? I don't know whether this is the best advice, but this is what I do. What I do is I only concentrate on the next corner. That's it. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about the other cars in the race. I don't care if somebody is catching me in a multiplayer race. I do not change my focus to anything else other than the race. The best way to do is like think about the next corner. So think about the braking points, and when you do this, your mind will automatically get trained. And when you play like 10 to 20 races and maybe in 50 races, you'll master this. This helped me a lot not to lose focus in the race, because like 40 minutes is like a very long time. Your mind goes everywhere else even though you are heavily invested in the race. So this is what I do, and I really hope that would help, this point would help you guys as well. That's about it actually. I talked about 9 points in this race, and I'll just summarize them until I catch these 2 cars, because I have 9 minutes left in this race and P3 is not impossible at this moment, and I was confident about it. So here to summarize the points, my first point was to keep in mind that you cannot undo your mistakes, because you know, if something happens on the last lap, that's it. And on to the second point, it was to be very mindful when overtaking. This is especially when you are in multiplayer races, because not like the AI cars, when in multiplayer races some players are more aggressive than others, so be mindful when you are doing overtakes. And my third point was on late braking, so this would definitely help you to get faster and to overtake cars. So make sure that you stop the car in the given distance, that's all. You'll be a really fast driver. And my fourth point was to use the curbs in corners. As I said before, make sure the curbs doesn't unsettle your car, but do not avoid curbs, because curbs would make you really fast if you use it right. And my next point was not to get panicked when you get overtaken, because this would come handy when you are playing multiple races. Because if you get panicked when someone overtakes you, and you at that point you'll lose your confidence, and that will be the end of your race. So on to my sixth point, it was to like utilize your practice sessions, because GT3 racing will be a long journey and you can't master it from one night. So don't look for shortcuts. And my seventh point was about the pit limiter. This is really important as the rest of the race, because if you get this wrong and get a drive-through penalty, that's it. Your race is done. And to my next point was not to push the car with cold tires, because every pit stop happens in the mid race. So by the time you get new tires, 50% of the race is completed. If you push the car too early, you might have to restart the full race. So just think about it. That would be a waste of time. And my ninth and the last point was on losing concentration, and I gave you a really good tip, because that really helped me. Hope that would help you as well. And wish I had a 10th point, but I'm out of ideas at the moment. So I finished the race with P3, and this is one of my best races since I'm a rookie to this format of racing, and it meant a lot to me. And that's it, folks. I was not sure that I was rambling on all these 15 minutes, or I gave you something to get into sim racing. Hopefully I can make more videos when I get more experience on this topic, and please share your experience in sim racing in the comments. I would love to know as a rookie. So that's it for today, and I'll see you on the next one.